Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here. Welcome to the Doug Show. And I am excited to talk to Alex Cooper from WP Eagle, the YouTube channel. He recently sold his Amazon affiliate site for $70,000. It was a full-on public case study, so you can track and go relive the whole process if you want to. And we're going to get the lowdown why Alex sold it and some of the challenges and successes along the way. Alex, welcome today. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, it's always great to catch up. And this is a pretty cool story. But before we get into the details, for the people that don't know you at all, who are you, Alex, and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Alex. My channel is WP Eagle. It's called that because it was mainly about WordPress, but it evolved into using WordPress to create affiliate marketing websites. And yeah, on the channel, I share my experiences and thoughts on affiliate marketing. I also have some tutorials all around creating websites and creating affiliate marketing websites. And yeah, as Doug says, some of my most popular videos are my case study videos where I create a complete website and then do regular update videos on exactly what work I've done on the site, how much traffic it's getting, how much it's earning, basically all the details so people can follow along with me and kind of share the success and the failures as they're creating their sites.
And I want to skip ahead to some of the sort of final results that you were able to see from the site. So overall, you sold it for $70K. And do you happen to remember the rough amount that you profited overall? So after expenses, including the sale of the site?
I do. Only luckily because I've got some figures in front of me. So yeah, the top level figures are as follows. So the site, when I sold it, was about 2 years old, 2 years, 2 months, I think, to be exact. And over its lifetime, I'd spent $12,300 just about. And most of that was spent on content. So writers, mainly writers, a few videos in there as well. And then I spent a bit of money on editing because I got a bit lazy and I was actually a bit slow adding the content. So I hired an editor to help me add the content. I spent about $2,000 on link building, and then there was about $500 of other expenses, hosting, domain name, that kind of stuff. So yeah, about $12,300 on expense. In terms of the income from the site, so it was mainly monetized via Amazon. Did have a little bit of Ezoic on there as well. But yeah, the total revenue over the lifetime was $21,500. I'm rounding these numbers; they're all rough, but yes, about that. So that gives a total lifetime profit up until the point I sold it of $9,200, or roughly that kind of figure. So it was already profitable when I came to sell it. And in fact, the last few months of it, when I had it, I hadn't spent anything on it at all. It was just kind of just sitting there. I hadn't really done much work on it. It was just earning well. And yeah, it's a roof box website, so it's quite seasonal. It does well in the summer when people are thinking of going on trips and camping and that kind of stuff. Not so well in the winter. So yeah, I then managed to sell it for $70,000. So if you add the 70 onto the 9, the total income from the site comes in around $79,000.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So I was pretty pleased with. Yeah. And as you said, it's been completely public. I created the site those 2 years ago because I wanted to create a video, one of my tutorial videos, which I create because I like to share how to create videos. And also it's another affiliate thing to do because I can obviously share links to hosting and domain names and other things within my tutorials. So that's the main reason why I create these tutorials. Previously, I'd created video tutorials where I'd just create the website and just kind of left it. So, never really kind of followed through. But I thought with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on working on it. I'm going to try and make a success of it. It's going to be great for content. Hopefully I'll get a community behind me that, they're looking forward to the updates each month. And that's kind of what happened. So I put all the videos together in one playlist on YouTube, tried my best to do an update every single month, which I did. Sometimes I did more than one update a month, shared all the earnings, all the analytics, all the gory details. I'd spend whatever I spent money on. I'd share that. I'd do a review on whatever I spent money on. And it just basically share all of the details in the hope that it would come good. And thankfully it did. And in fact, I also had special guests come in like yourself and guys from Income School and some other, well-known YouTubers to come in and critique and give me feedback on the site, which was also good fun.
Very awesome. And when you started the site and you started the project, were you intending on selling it, or was this kind of a...
Yeah, I was always intending on selling it because I kind of needed an ending. It was turning into like a feature-length movie. It was just going on and on forever. I kind of feel deep down that maybe I sold it a little bit prematurely, but as we were just talking about, I'm thinking of moving real soon. So I needed a chunk of money just to help facilitate that. So the easiest way to do that would be to sell the site. I also knew that it was kind of starting to move into the high-end price range, and you're pretty aware of this, having bought and sold sites yourself. I think once you start getting into maybe like $100,000 valuations and above, it becomes a little more tricky to sell the site. There's less people in that kind of higher end bracket looking to buy sites. So yeah, I just thought it's time to sell. The site was on an upward trajectory at the point that I was looking to sell it. So again, I know that's very favorable when you're selling sites. People like to see sites that are growing rather than declining. So yeah, if I was in no hurry in terms of moving and didn't need the money, I might have held on to it for another few months. But it may have been more difficult to sell as we head into winter because it would definitely start to decline again because it's seasonal.
One thing I like when you're selling it on the incline and it's increasing, it's getting more traffic, it's actually the high season. It's great for the new owner, right? You don't want to sell something and then it tanks afterwards. It's a horrible feeling, and the other person probably doesn't feel great about it either. So they have something that's kind of in the height of its season, which is cool that you decided, hey, that's all right, I'm going to sell it, and traffic is growing as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is good. And the guy who bought it, it's actually his first investment in websites. So yeah, I think it'd be a great site for him to kind of cut his teeth on.
Now, did you run into any issues having this as a public case study? And just as a preface and a little background, when you and I talked about this before you did it and had the public site, I was thinking, this is bananas, right? Like a public case study, people are going to mess with you. So did you ever run into any issues?
No. There's been copycat sites. For sure, people have copied it. I've stumbled across them when I've been doing research and stuff for articles. I've found sites that are very similar to mine, some that have pretty much taken the content that I had and maybe spun it a little bit, sometimes not even bothered doing that. But no, I was never worried. I always knew that I kind of had that first mover advantage and that I'm the first one there and hopefully some kind of authority on it. But yeah, and I guess the other thing I had, there was quite a few negative comments that I used to get along the way, which I mentioned actually in my final video on the site, on Reddit and just in YouTube in the comments, where people were saying, the site's no good, it's never going to work, what are you doing? And all kind of other negativity like that, which, especially when maybe the site was having a bad month, whatever, can knock your confidence a little bit. But yeah, other than that, no, nothing like no negative SEO or anything like that. But, I always went in with the approach, and I still do with everything I do on YouTube, that if something negative happens, it still makes great content for YouTube. Because I would share exactly, if someone did copy it or someone, hacked it or did some negative SEO, I would always make a video about it anyway and hopefully overcome it.
Right. That is the luxury of publishing content, is even if it turns out bad, you can just share that story. And a lot of people fortunately can relate to that. Yeah. They see that everything isn't a slam dunk. Now that said, were you nervous in the beginning that maybe it wouldn't work or anything like that?
Yeah, I was. And that would be a problem because I create lots of videos about affiliate marketing and about websites. And now I've never claimed to be an expert, but I guess I've got a few more credentials now when it comes to creating videos. But yeah, there's always a fear that it wouldn't work, but I just kept working away. And I think that's, if you look back through some of my older videos, there were months where it was in decline. Amazon cut the rates. I would sell some roof boxes and then people would return the roof boxes. So commission would go into the negative. There was lots of ups and downs, but I think sharing all of that, a lot of people got a lot out of that and were able to relate to it. And I think that's the one thing with these kind of sites. They take longer than you think. There's going to be ups and downs. Bad stuff's going to happen. You just got to keep going and you've got to just believe that it's going to be all right in the end. And hopefully it will be.
So people can go back and go really granular looking at your keyword research and how you did the content and any number of these details. How many videos do you have? Like 50 or something on this?
It's like 50 or something videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Covering everything on, how I put the articles together, all the research, all the stuff I spent money on, the link building companies I used, the videos I had created, what worked, what didn't work, and all that stuff. It's all in there.
Awesome. So since people can't go back, we're not going to go too granular in this conversation, but just on a high level, how did you approach keyword research, for example?
Just the classic way of going into Google, using the search suggest, answering questions. And the great thing about what I learned from this site, and I think when I do some future projects, especially Amazon projects, was that with the roof boxes, it's a product that people need help buying, because there's so many roof boxes and there's so many different cars that, they just need some guidance. And that actually was kind of a light bulb moment for me on the site, was because I was doing some keyword research and starting to put some articles together. And I created an article around the Subaru Outback, which is a car in the States, which we don't have over here. And that was a suggested search term from Google. And that did really well. And I just thought, okay, well, I just need to write articles about every single car. That's because there's going to be people searching for best roof box for, and then insert the car and make a model. So I did that. And that really did help. But yeah, just standard keyword research using Google. I think I use maybe a few other little tools like Answer the Public and Keywords Everywhere, things like that. But just generally straight from Google.
Perfect.
And it got to the point where I could kind of just think of kind of what people were looking for. So I did, the best roof box for camping gear. Then I just thought of other gear, fishing gear, skiing gear, and built it out from there.
Awesome. And that's a great way to do it. And there's some brilliance in there, Alex, where, it's not an unlimited number of cars, but there's a lot of different kind of cars and a lot of different kind of applications. And I've been running into this with, I've been getting more into guitars. I got a new guitar not that long ago.
Oh yeah.
And
I see in the background.
There are there's a lot of different manufacturers. There's a lot of different models. There's vintage guitars, which I'm starting to go down that rabbit hole, which is a very expensive proposition. Yeah. You also have, I'm looking at acoustics, but you have electrics, and then you have different amps. And so anyway, whatever niche you're working in, if it's something where there's a ton of these different products, there's some mixing and matching. So different roof boxes on different kind of cars, even different models. You have model year changes, and it's just brilliant. So kudos for that. Now, was there anything that didn't turn out like you expected? There are probably several, so you can take your time on this one and think about some of the things that turned out different than you thought.
There's nothing that springs to mind. There was a few, so I ordered some videos from the Hoff. That maybe didn't quite go to plan. I mean, the thing with it was, obviously I was reviewing and writing about products that I didn't own. I couldn't possibly own every single roof box, and I couldn't possibly own every single car to write about. So a lot of it was done with research and using writers and that kind of stuff. And I paid the Hoff to do some videos and set up a YouTube channel. That didn't really have much of an effect. The other thing that was a big factor was the returns. So I think a lot of people would buy roof boxes, whether it was down to my research or what. Sometimes my advice wasn't as good as it could have been, but people would buy these big roof boxes. You see a fantastic commission in Amazon, and then a few days later they'd return it. So that was maybe one thing. But other than that, it's been fine, and it went against a few rules that a lot of people would say you shouldn't do. So, for example, it's built on an exact match domain, bestroofbox.com. A lot of people would say, no, you should call it something like, traveler packing, or, how to transport your stuff, or I don't know, some other kind of brandable keyword, some other brandable URL. But it seemed to work well, the keyword match domain. When people search for best roof box, it ranks on page 1. And I know that that's something of, yesteryear, that you buy the keyword and domain and you rank well, but it seemed to work well. Although, interestingly, a couple of the people that were looking to buy the site, or people that were just buyers, they're investors, when I showed them the domain, they kind of went, okay, we're not buying any exact match domains. I don't know why they said that. I say it worked well for me. I guess maybe it's just too limiting. I don't know. What's your
Right.
thoughts on exact match domains?
Well, I specifically remember when I did the teardown video, I said, I can't believe you got an exact match domain. So I fall into that camp. However, I saw what you were able to do, right? So there wasn't
Yeah.
an issue. And if, if I take a step back and look at some of the stuff that I've done, I see niche site project. So it's keyword rich. And actually I rank pretty well for anything that has niche site in there, which
Yeah.
it was not really that intentional. It kind of fit for a couple reasons, which is a whole other story. But a lot of the anchor text for the links that point to my site, niche site project, say niche site project. So I have a lot of anchor text that is completely relevant. And that is one benefit. Now, I do know that, like you said, some people that are going to be interested in buying a 6-figure site, they may say, you know what? That is what we used to do in 2007. So I'm not going to do that. I mean, people did it all the way to like 2014 pretty regularly, and it can work. And I think it is limiting, just like you're saying. So if they wanted to branch out into other areas, they're kind of stuck in the roof box zone. That said, you can find plenty of examples where, sites are doing well because they have the keywords right in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's whatever. I mean, maybe because people, when they're looking to invest in a site, they want to build it out. And I'd put a lot of content on there, and I had covered most roof box related things. I think you'd probably struggle to create too much more content. I'm sure there's plenty of other things to write about. There's no reason why you can't go into bike racks and other stuff. But yeah, and especially as people want maybe to add more informational content nowadays. And that's the other thing that I guess goes against a lot of rules. Site was maybe 85%, 90% product focused content. So a lot of it was, the best X for Y, the best roof box for this, the best roof box for that. A lot of affiliate links in the content, very product focused. And again, I know that a lot of people nowadays would say, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to have a lot more informational content. And, there was some informational content on there. There was a guide to, planning for a road trip. There was a guide on, how to keep your kids entertained in the car when you're on a long journey and some of that stuff. But yeah, most of the content was very product focused, which in turn meant that I earn a lot of Amazon commission because the people that hit the site, they were looking for a roof box. They just needed a little bit of help. They weren't looking for how to plan a road trip. And then maybe there's the off chance they might want a roof box. They were looking for a roof box for a BMW. And I showed them 5 good roof boxes for a BMW. They clicked through, they bought one. So, yeah.
That really did shift, though. I mean, you had the site for a couple years, and I've said for a long time, like roughly 50-50 is going to keep you in a safe zone. But I mean, there have been multiple algorithm updates that went after sites with kind of crappy reviews or mostly review content and that sort of thing. But and that brings us to another area. Did you ever get hit with any of the algorithm updates along the way? I mean, 2.5 years.
Not that I noticed. No, I mean, there was a traffic dip a while back, but no, I mean, and the most recent one, only a month or so ago, there was the product review update, which in theory would hit a site like mine because everyone says Google were looking for, proper product reviews where people had bought the roof box. They were, in their garden, putting it on their car, filming it. No, it wasn't affected. And I don't know why. I mean, I thought the reviews were good. I mean, we did all do research, we did check that the boxes were the right kind of boxes and took what we could from the stuff that was already out there. But yeah. In fact, actually, maybe just because within that particular niche, there wasn't that many in-depth reviews because unless you're like a roof box company, you've got a shop or a warehouse full of roof boxes, very difficult to create that content. So I guess mine was still the best that there was.
So let's talk about some of the link building. So you mentioned about $2,000 of link building. How'd that go? Feel free to mention the services that you used if you want to.
Okay, yeah, I will do. So I originally tried the Hoff, which I know you've used in the past. I'd heard a lot about them, and I actually think the links were okay. I paid for their guest post services. And again, there's a full video on my channel on this in the playlist. They've got a number of services. They've got a cheap service, which I tried, which was absolutely horrendous. They created some horrible social media profile pages and linked from them. But their guest post service, in fact, for one of those guest posts, I paid $500 for a really high ranking guest post. I think that had a positive effect on the site. I'm pretty sure of that. DR went up and everything like that. Other link building I've used, and I know that, again, they're friends of yours. You probably got a link. You can put a link in the description for Niche Website Builders. They did some of their shotgun skyscraper link building. That was towards the end of the site's life. I'm saying that sound like it's speaking like it's died, but no, they were doing that just before I sold it. So yeah, they created some fantastic links, and they were the guys that created some of the content, some of the more informational content, like the road trip guide and how to travel with a dog, that kind of stuff. So that worked really well. And other stuff I did, I was pretty religious, especially in the beginning, on posting and pinning images to Pinterest. I don't know what effect that had on the ranking, but yeah, there was quite a few pins. And also a bit of YouTube. So I created a few YouTube videos, again, using the Hoff. On reflection, that probably wasn't money well spent. They basically took some of my articles and turned them into videos, and it was just like a guy standing in front of the camera, kind of reading the article with a bit of B-roll thrown in there. So they weren't great. But I think I was to go back to it, I would probably create more videos, but I'd just kind of do like a screen share presentation type video, I think that might work quite well. And of course, I mean, I can't discount these. Every time I did a video update, which was every single month, there was obviously a link from that through to the site. So from my WP Eagle channel. Don't know what credibility or clout that had, but I guess it's 50 or 60 odd links from YouTube. And that's about it, I think. Did a bit of outreach, a little bit of outreach where I was searching for sites that had a Write For Us page or a submit page. But again, having spoken to some experts like the guys at Niche Website Builders, they would say building links from those kind of sites is probably not a good idea because Google can see that they're the kind of site that accepts a lot of guest posts, and maybe that possibly devalues the link. Yeah, I did all that stuff, and yeah, I actually got to the point where some of my viewers who were setting up complimentary sites, whether it be in travel or in cars or something related, and we'd do some sort of link exchange or a guest post or something like that.
All right.
And yeah, that's it.
Do you know what the domain rating or domain authority was right before you sold it or towards the end there with all the links that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it. Well, this is on Ahrefs, so I've still got it on my Ahrefs. On Ahrefs, it had a DR of 50, which I think is pretty high. And it's reading that there's 1,500 backlinks.
All right.
And in fact, the first one that comes up from a website with a DR of 61 is from Niche Website Project, or Niche Site Project, in fact. Is that your site? Is that someone else's site? No, that's you. It's you. So again, I think that must have helped. There was a lot of other people in our space, in the affiliate marketing space, that saw my example and were linking to it as well. So it had quite a selection of links, not only from car and travel related sites, but also from affiliate marketing related sites.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, and quick note for the YouTube links that you had, you also got YouTube traffic. So I think that's probably a big deal. I know people, I get into no follow and do follow links, obviously do follow. That's important. But if you have you publish videos from the beginning and you were getting traffic from YouTube, people were following those links and they consistently did it every month or more often, that has to help. And, I don't know if you have a handle or know how much traffic was coming through, but that's a great sign, if you ask me, to be able to get traffic from YouTube at the very beginning of a site and then continue to see it grow. And then you have all these people, linking to it like that. So.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped, but after the site was quite well established and it was doing well on Google Organic, there was less traffic from YouTube and less direct traffic, which was kind of good because I really wanted real traffic. I wanted people that were into roof boxes rather than people that were just curious about the site from an affiliate marketing point of view.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, of course. And just curious, did you any specific tools or plugins or things that you found instrumental for this particular site?
Okay, so the site was built using Elementor. Again, I'm breaking a few rules here. A lot of people would say don't use Elementor for your, because I was using it on the content as well as the homepage. But I really liked Elementor. I thought it was a great way to kind of quickly put posts together and, use templates and also create some posts that, are quite good looking. So yeah, I used Elementor. The other plugin that I absolutely fell in love with was AAWP, which is obviously the plugin that you can use to create tables, to compare products. Very useful for things like roof boxes because they're different shapes, they're different sizes. People want to see the storage capacity. They want to see, does it open on one side or both sides? And you can kind of display and share that information really quickly in a table. So AAWP was definitely a plugin I used all the time. They were probably the main ones. Going forward, I'm still torn with page builders. I like page builders because you can create some really good content that looks really good. And in fact, I've got a new site on the go right now, which is Best Pressure Washer. Again, another exact match domain. But I'm using Thrive themes with that, again, which is a great page builder. And the content looks really good. But, maybe with the new Google Core Web Vitals thing that's coming out soon, all related to speed, maybe page builders are not such a good idea. I'm torn. I don't know. You don't use page builders, do you, for any content stuff?
No, and I had kind of a poor experience with Thrive specifically, so makes me laugh that you're using it. But I had a really tough time with support, and I have other friends that they swear by Thrive, and don't they have like a theme builder functionality?
It's very flexible. You can do whatever you like with it. Yeah, you can change your design, which maybe is too much for some people. Some people, at the end of the day, the focus really should be the content. You don't want to get too bogged down with the design and creating themes and all that stuff. But yeah. Some people are shown they like a good looking site. I've not had any problem with Thrive, but then I haven't really needed any support as yet. But yeah, I guess the future is to kind of cut that stuff out and just use Gutenberg or something lightweight.
I think, and I had a particular use case. I mean, I complain about it all the time, but I had a very long sales page and I needed to, migrate it. And I used Thrive from the content builder. So this is like many years ago. And you can imagine as a company matures and they have newer tools and you have to go through the migration process, which is messy at best. And then it can turn into a real nightmare, that's what happened to me. So I kind of swore it off and
you got burned and you're not going back there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like for me personally, the constraints of not having all the options, like you said, you can really do just about anything. That's not good for me. I need, my sites look like shit though, I'll be honest with you. And your site looked nice. And I mean, the other part is you have, I think, a little bit more of a design background, a little bit more of an eye.
Well, yeah, I've built websites before. I mean, that's what I was doing. That's in fact why I set up the channel, because I was building websites, WordPress websites for clients and selling them. So yeah, I mean, I don't do that anymore because that's a nightmare because things always go wrong. And I've also got some guys on my team now that help me with the techie stuff and the hosting stuff and all that stuff. So if something stops working, I can just call up Phil. He fixes it. It's fine.
Got it.
Yeah, I've just built a new site. I didn't use a page builder. In fact, it was a print on demand site, which just for a bit of fun.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I don't know. There's loads of page builders, but I guess the message from this is if you are using a page builder, maybe you start building a site with Elementor or some other page builder, it can still be a success. It can still be a success. If people are saying, oh, no, you should never use page builders, they're too slow. This site ranked really well. It got a ton of traffic. It made a load of money, and it was using Elementor.
There you go. Yeah. Perfect. And I'm glad that you said that because I mean, I have opinions and I give opinions. You have yours as well.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like you usually can find an example of things working or not working to prove whatever point you're trying to make.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Hopefully, neither of us sound too rigid. I think probably I would sound more rigid. You seem far more reasonable than me.
Whatever you want to go for. But yeah, probably you could save your money, and because at the end of the day, you have to spend. If you want to get the best out of Elementor, you need to buy the Pro version, and it's all just expense that you probably don't need. And at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters too much what your website looks like. It needs to be clean. It needs to be crisp. Have things laid out nicely, but nothing too fancy.
So let's talk about how you sold the site. And actually, I'll just ask you, how'd you sell the site?
Okay. So I'd had a bit of interest from an associate, and so I knew that there would be an interest in it, and someone made an offer to me. And the thing was, they were in the UK, and after I kind of looked around and took some advice from my accountant, because I have a limited company in the UK that's VAT registered. I'm not sure if you have VAT over in the States, the sales tax. There would be a problem if I sold it to someone else in the UK. I basically have to add VAT, which in the UK is 20%. And on that kind of money, that's a lot of money. So I needed to sell it to someone outside of the UK because I don't have to charge VAT. And I'd also had an experience with Empire Flippers. In fact, where I'd thought about selling the site about 12 months previous when it wasn't earning anywhere near as much. And I'd spoken to Empire Flippers, and they'd done a whole load of stuff, and I'd done a whole load of forms, and we'd had lots of chats and meetings, and actually got to the point where they looked at the P&L and they said they weren't going to be interested in selling it. But I also got a kind of flavor in terms of what's involved with a broker and also their fees. I mean, these guys, they take like 30%. So I really didn't want to do that either. I didn't want to spend 30% on fees. So what I did, I just reached out to my network. I think I emailed you. I emailed other friends of my channel and other people that I'd met, other guests that I'd had on the channel, anyone that was kind of in our space. Just sent out an email to everyone and just said, I'm thinking of selling my site. Are you interested? Or do you know anyone that might be interested? And pretty much everyone came back and said, thanks, but yeah, I'm not buying sites at the moment, or yeah, I'm not interested, or that's out of my budget. But one person came back, I think I can name him, Miles Beckler, who is also a fellow YouTuber. He came back and said, yeah, Alex, I'm not interested, but I do know someone who's looking to build up a portfolio, and I think your site might be a good fit. They hooked us up. We had a chat on Skype or whatever. I shared all the analytics, shared all the earnings, and everything else, answered some questions. And yeah, we had a little bit of back and forth, and they just said, yeah, I'm interested. Let's do it. So we set up an escrow agreement thing. I'm sure you've used escrow before, but basically it allows you to do these kind of deals. We agreed the price. The price came up. Basically, it was a multiplier on the earnings. The last few months, it's been earning around 2,000. So it's like a 35x, maybe a little bit more multiplier. Because of the growth, I thought it was worth a little bit more. And a couple of other friends said, oh, it's worth at least 70K. So that was the kind of figure I had in my mind. I said, that's how much it is. They said, fine. And we set up the escrow. They put the money into escrow. I transfer the site. When they're happy, they click a button and the money's released and the deal's done. And yeah, basically in terms of transferring, it was hosted with my own hosting, which is I mentioned Phil earlier, WP Eagle hosting. So I said, yeah, no, just take the whole lot. I'll host it for you for another 30 days. And if you want to carry on, then just sign up for our hosting service, which is what he did. So I got a new hosting company as well. So it was nice and easy and straightforward.
That's
so a new
awesome.
hosting customer, I should say. Yeah.
And quick note. So I thought Empire Flippers charged about 15%. Is it 30%?
Oh, okay. Now maybe I got my fees mixed. I knew it was quite a lot. Maybe they take a
still
slice.
a lot. Yeah,
still a lot. When you're talking about 70,000, it's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Empire Flippers, friend of the show. So just I'll be clear on that. But
yeah.
when you
nothing against them. And if I didn't have my network, I would have had to use a broker because I wouldn't be able to find a buyer. And if my network had failed and no one had come back and said that they knew anyone, then I would have definitely gone to somewhere like Empire Flippers. And the experience that I had with them was very positive. In the first time, it was just unfortunate that at that point the site wasn't kind of in the level that they're looking for. They're not a big. Well, they don't sell small sites. They sell sites that are doing pretty well.
Yep.
But also Spencer, is it Spencer I'm thinking of? Who also has what's it called? Motion Invest. That's Spencer, isn't it? That's Spencer. Yep. He would be another consideration because I know he sells sites that are a bit smaller. So, yeah, if my network had failed, I would have definitely used a broker. But it was just, I just thought I must know enough people in the space. And in fact, I did. Carl Broadbent, again, he's a friend of the channel. he hooked me up with some people that he'd sold sites to. And it was just when he said that he knew a guy that, would just put the money in your bank account if you wanted to site, and there'd be no messing around. That just sounded so appealing to me.
Yeah.
Whereas with the brokers, there's a lot more due diligence and all that kind of stuff.
And that's what I was going to say. It's like it slows you down so much. You have multiple levels of due diligence, and there's certainly some value in that, probably usually more for the buyer, but it just slows everything down. So even if you have all the information that you need, you provide it to them, they're still back and forth, there's still time zone differences, and it's like wearing, cement shoes, right? It's just really slowing you down.
It just takes long. So yeah, I thought selling it for a friend of a friend would just be so much easier, and it turned out it was. And it's perfect. You don't have to pay any commission, and it's probably the best way to do it. I mean, if you know some people, you just got to ask around, see who you know, and you never know.
And I was going to say that's one small reason, if you're in this world that we are, to have some small presence, to have, either a YouTube channel or a blog. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to, publish as often as Alex and I do. But if you have like a network and people know you, you don't necessarily have to go through a broker, and you could save, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Like it's a huge, when you start, selling like a $500,000 site, it's like, oh man, how much are you not giving away, but how much are you losing through having to access someone else's network, which would be the brokers. So,
yeah. I mean, and I also hang out in, there's Facebook groups. I'm sure you've seen them, the Flipper Facebook groups and stuff. And there's ways of reaching people through those. But again, in terms of the due diligence, it's going to be a bit trickier. You're going to be dealing directly with people, and you never know 100% sure. At least you've got the safety. If you use a broker, I mean, they do charge for it, but you get connected with some buyers that are hopefully good and have got money in the bank. And it kind of takes a little bit of that worry away. But yeah, because the buyer was recommended to me through a friend and trusted person, I thought it'd be fine, and it was fine.
Awesome. So let's see. Are there any things that you wish you could like change in the way you ran the case study, with the site in general, or selling it? Anything that you at this point, looking back, that you have second thoughts on?
No, I think I would have probably kept it a little bit longer, just to see how high it would get. I'm pretty confident that the new buyer is going to be enjoying some 3K, maybe 4K months in the next few months, especially as things start opening up and people start traveling some more. So that would have been good. But no, it went as well as I could have hoped. And yeah, maybe I could have worked on it a bit more. There were some points where I kind of slowed down. I stopped adding content. I stopped working on it, did some other things. And some months I didn't have much to talk about in terms of the updates. Maybe I could have got it got to value a bit quicker. But, other than that, I'm happy with it. And it's now inspired me, and it's proven to me that I can do it. And I'm now just kind of hungry for the next one. And maybe the next one, I'll sell it for 6 figures, get a 100K site, a 200K site. I don't know. But I'm trying to find a niche or a niche that's kind of got that content potential, where there's lots of different products, lots of different applications, lots of scope for guides and content. And I kind of coincidentally, or accidentally, I should say, fell into the roof box niche, because I just so happened that at the time I was looking to get a roof box for my car, and I just fell into it, and it turned out to be a fantastic niche. And that's often the way, isn't it? You do all the research you can, and sometimes you just stumble across some great niches.
Yeah, very cool. Well, what are you working on now? I know you alluded to a new site that you just started. I know you have a couple sites out there. So what are you working on now?
Got a few things coming through. So I've got Best Pressure Washer, which is a site that I did a while back, which again I've neglected, but now I'm focusing on getting a lot of content through for that. I've got Wheel Along, which is my UK-based site, which is going to be interesting because, again, it's a site that I want to sell. And as I kind of touched on earlier, there's a VAT issue with if I wanted to sell that to another UK business or person, that could be an issue. And also, I don't know the value of the UK sites, because people tend to want to buy a .com. But So that's going to make an interesting case study. It was hit recently. It was doing well. I bought some links that kind of pushed it up, and then those links, I think, got flagged by Google or something, and then it dropped again. But, that's all part of the adventure. So it could be interesting. The scope of content on it is tricky. It's all about trolleys and things with wheels, wheelbarrows, that kind of stuff. But hey, it's got some traffic. It is generating some sales. So I think it's got potential. And the bonus of being a UK site is that the Amazon commission rates are a bit more generous here in the UK than they are in the States. I've got a site that I bought a little while back, which is kind of a generic information site. It's called knowledgeablemind.com, which I think I'm going to do a case study on it. I wanted to create a site that wasn't Amazon affiliate, that was more informational. So that could be the one, but I don't know. It's about kind of everything. So maybe it's too broad, but we'll see. I'm going to have some fun with that. I've also got a theme that myself and Phil, who I've mentioned, my server techie guy, and Carl, who I also mentioned, we are working on a theme that should be released very soon. It's in alpha testing at the moment. It's a theme that's designed for affiliate sites. It's super fast, super lean, got a very similar look and feel to Best Roof Box, clean design. So that could be exciting because I've never done anything like that. I've always wanted to have a theme or plugin or something WordPress related that I could, sell or give away. We're going to sell it. It's going to be $99. But I was kind of inspired by Matt, who I know is a friend of yours and friend of mine as well, because his theme is so cool and he's had some success with that. So I thought, why not? Let's build a theme. So that should be available in the next few weeks. And of course, I'm going to do some videos around that, create a site with it, and see how it goes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. What's the theme going to be called?
It's called Popcorn. Popcorn that you eat when you go to the movies.
I love popcorn. I think that's a great
name. I don't know. We just needed a name, and why not? So it's popcorntheme.com. You'll be able to find it on there soon. Once we've figured out, how we're going to sell it, whether we're going to support it, we're probably not going to support it. I know that Matt doesn't really support his team, does he? And he seems to do okay. I don't want to get bogged down with that. I just want to have it as a nice kind of side project.
Right. Well, and that was one of my small complaints with Matt, who, he's a good friend of mine. But yeah, it's tough when you have the theme and you need a little bit of help, and it specifically states on the sales page, hey, no support. Of course, Matt does, he helped me out a little bit, like where I needed the help. But that's a tough one because support is like, let's say, well, you know how it is. Someone's using some rogue plugin that, is weird and has issues. And then you have to try and trace that down. You're like, you got this weird plugin.
It's a nightmare. What I'm thinking, and I've seen this before just within my community, in my Facebook group and on YouTube and Discord, is that the community is really good at supporting each other. And I've got some good guys in my community, and I've already sent them a copy of the theme, and they're on it, they're testing it, they're loving it, they're giving us loads of feedback. So I'm just hoping that we can create a nice community. We can get a few guys in like that are passionate about the theme and about just helping people, and it can kind of self-support itself. Or we'll think of another way. Maybe you have to pay for support or something. I don't know. We'll think of something. But it's going to be such a nice kind of a lean, simple theme that hopefully there isn't going to be too much that goes wrong.
No one can.
Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great too. And I often say I'm just bad at communities. I'm bad as a member. I'm bad at like running my own for whatever reason. I think it's because it's all like keyboard or phone related. So I just I'm trying to get away from screens and stuff. But you have a great community, Alex. And whenever I hop in to a live stream or something, everyone's so nice and friendly, and you've done a great job nurturing that whole thing. So I think it'll probably.
If I'm honest, I haven't done too much, especially like on the Facebook group and the Discord. I mean, the Discord was actually, I didn't even set it up myself. A community member set up the WP Eagle Discord. I dip in there now and again, and there's people chatting and having fun, hanging out, sharing ideas, sharing thoughts. It's really nothing to do with me. I mean, all I've done is create the videos and brought viewers together that have obviously a similar passion and similar interest, and the rest. And again, with the Facebook, I mean, I rarely post. I try and reply to some things, but I can't reply to every message and every thread. And thankfully, I've got some great community members, and they do it. They comment on stuff and they help each other out. And I haven't had to do too much moderating, although I did kick someone out of the group just the other day. But that's the first time I've done that for a long time.
Wow.
Some people just are so toxic. I don't know what it is. I try to help the guy, kind of like, everything seemed to be against him. Everything was this and that, and it's like, well, maybe it's you.
Yeah.
I gave him a few chances, and then he had to go. But yeah, other than that, the community has been fantastic.
Right on. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up here. I have one more question. Typically, I would say, what would you advise someone that wants to recreate what you've done? But it turns out they could just watch all your videos and recreate it themselves. So I'm going to ask you something a little different. Okay. How would you recommend someone to do a public case study like you have done? Any tips or wisdom if someone thought, hey, I want to start a new YouTube channel and I want to do a case study and just share everything?
I'd say go for it. I'd say don't be scared of people copying it or people doing negative stuff. Be confident in what you're doing. And, well, there's a few things that I've learned. Be regular with your uploads. And I did try and be as regular as I possibly could. So, first or second of each month, get the upload up there, get the update published. Because people will be asking, where's the update? Where are you doing an update on Best Root Books this month? So try and be regular because people will be looking out for those update videos. Don't worry if things go wrong. That's something I thought about in the beginning. The site's not growing. We're not making any money. Traffic's gone down. Don't worry. Just use that in your content. Share the negative things. Share the bad stuff that happens, because that is as valuable, if not more valuable, than when stuff goes right. Because people that are following along and doing their own projects, they're going to have stuff go wrong as well. And they're going to want to see how you handle it, how you deal with it, and how basically, you handle it and deal with it, and keep all that stuff in. Don't try and gloss over it. Don't try and make it all perfect, because of course it's not going to be perfect. So I guess, they're my main things. Be completely honest as well. Just, share your earnings, share your traffic. Don't hide anything. And just be completely open and you should be fine. And I guess my final point would be, don't worry about the negative stuff, which I did worry about that, but now, it's water off a duck's back. There's going to be people, there's going to be haters, there's going to be people saying that you don't know what you're doing, that you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, it's never going to work. And just got to ignore them, haven't you?
Amazing. Well, thanks, Alex. Where can people find you?
Just head over to YouTube, do a search for WP Eagle. Maybe Doug will put a link to my channel in the description. But if you do a search for WP Eagle, you should be able to find me. And then if you click on the playlists on my channel, you'll see that there's a couple of playlists. There's one for each of the different projects that I mentioned. And obviously the main one is Best Root Books. If you can't be bothered to watch all the 50 videos or however many there are, if you go to the very last video, I tried to summarize everything in terms of everything that I've done, what I've learned, what I spent, all that details kind of consolidated into one video. Then if you've got, a day or so free, you can watch the entire playlist.
It's like an MBA in affiliate marketing.
Yeah, I mean, the very first video is 2 hours plus long, because the very first video is me making the site, step by step, every single thing I did to build the site. And then obviously the site that's in that video is quite different to the site that's in the last video because of all the changes and extra plugins and things that I've learned along the way. But just dip into it as you want.
All right.
And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. Check out Alex's stuff and really appreciate it, man.
It's good to be back. And we'll have to have you on WP Eagle soon.
Consider it done.
Cool. All right. I'll see you later.